Chapter 121 of Married Thrice to Salted Fish. Lin Chingye was very surprised when he learned what a honeymoon was. For Jiang Xin, who found even the distance from Xinjing Palace to Fengyi Palace too far to actually invite him to go on a long trip together. Where do you want to go? Jiang Xin ordered Shao Songxi to unfold Dayu's map and hang it on the wall. He put his hand on Lin Qingye's shoulder and said, "How about we go to the southern border?" Lin Qingye said, "I have been to all the places in the south." How about Shuchao? It's the rainy season, so the small villages there would be perfectly charming. I have been there too. Jiang Xin had a bad feeling. Then let's go north. When I was 16, I stayed in the north for half a year with several fellow apprentices. Jiang Xin was in a complicated mood. You have been everywhere and you went to all these places with people that aren't me. A man aspires to travel far and make one's mark, and you like to nest in one place. As Lin Qingye said it, a trace of doubt appeared on his brows. That's right, in the past, he traveled around the world with his mentor, doing good for society and saving people. But now, he didn't have much interest in going anywhere. He just wanted to stay at home with Jiang Xin. Lin Qingye glanced at Jiang Xin. I blame you. You have made me lazy. Jiang Xin smiled and said, Is it all my fault? We can't go on like this, Jiang Xin, Lin Qingye said, speaking from his heart. While we are still young, we must learn as much as we While we are still young, we must learn as much as we can and do all that we can. Staying all day in palace engrossed in romance, what kind of life is that? Well, Lin Qingye, I would say it's very great. You're basically working from home, you have so many servants, and you have your lover, your husband, and you guys can go at it anytime. I would say that's a pretty relaxed way of living. I can't believe I also want to be a salted fish like Jiang Xin. He definitely influenced me too. It's his fault, I agree. Jiang Xin disagreed. We don't do it the entire day. We have a lot of work to handle. Besides, only young people can engross themselves in romance. When we are old, we wouldn't be able to even if we want to. Lin Qingye said half truthfully. Don't worry, when you're old, you're still going to be able to engross yourself in romance. I just need to apply acupuncture. Jiang Xin was very excited. But how could there be such a good thing? There must be a price to pay. In the end, his desire to live prevailed. No, I want to keep living a few more years. The two discussed for a long time, but they couldn't come to a conclusion. Instead, the topic strayed further and further away. Hualu came in to serve them fresh fruit. Your Majesties, this is the pear sent from Xinjiao. After Lin Qingye remarried for the third time, this time to the emperor, Hualu voluntarily entered the palace and was now the maid in charge of Xinjing Palace. Both she and Huan Tong thought that Lin Qingye had been forced into this marriage, and she entered the palace to continue serving Lin Qingye. Huan Tong wanted to enter the palace to continue serving him as well, but according to the rules, he had to cleanse himself, and Lin Qingye could not bear to let that happen to him. If you guys don't know what that means, it means that they want to make him a eunuch. Well, Huan Tong definitely needs a wife and romance in his life, so I agree. He needs to stay out of palace. And so he left him in the general's mansion to learn how to manage a household from Yan Yan. Junction casually took a pear from the basket and tossed it up and down for fun. Since you have visited all the places worth visiting in the Dayu, why don't we let the chance decide where we go for our honeymoon? Lin Qingyu said. You mean draw lots? Sort of. Jiang Xing ordered Hua Lu. Hua Lu, fetch me a drag. My bad, give me a sec. Hua Lu, fetch me a dagger and a white ribbon. Hua Lu bought what Jiang Xing asked for. Jiang Xing said, Qingyu, close your eyes and throw the dagger at the map. We will go wherever it hits. Oh, so they could also do it like this. Lin Qingyu found it a little novel and asked, what if it turns out to be too far from the capital? It was not actually uncommon for the emperor to travel far away. Emperor Yu Wen went to the south 7 times. It was not impossible for Jiang Xing to leave the capital for several months, leaving the cabinet to take charge of the government. But if he stays away from the capital for too long, something unforeseen might happen. The Dayu's territory was vast. Going from the southernmost point to the northernmost point could have several years. Jiang Xing said, then we will just choose somewhere else. Jiang Xing blindfolded Lin Qingyu with red silk ribbon, leaving half of the bridge of his nose. His reddish lips slightly parted due to the sudden darkness, giving him an ambiguous and obscene air. Just looking at him was getting Jiang Xing hot under the collar. Thinking of how Lin Qingyu was cold and reserved in front of outsiders, yet gorgeous and blooming when under his body, he couldn't help but bow his head and plant a kiss on the beauty's lips. Hua Lu was stunned for a moment, but Shao Songxi pulled the hem of her clothes. She then turned around and retreated, pretending that she hadn't seen anything. Underneath the silk blindfold, Lin Qingyu's long eyelashes moved. Why are you suddenly kissing me again for no reason? Jiang Xing just laughed. I often kiss you for no reason. Haven't you gotten used to it yet? Lin Qingyu thought for a while. That's true. Jiang Xing held the dagger and helped Lin Qingyu wrap his hand around the handle. Throw it. He threw the dagger, and after hearing it hit, Lin Qingyu took off the silk blindfold and saw where the dagger stuck. Jiashao. Jiashao was located in the south of the Dayu. It was surrounded by mountains and forests and was close to the sea. It was humid and a place with heavy miasma, making it unsuitable for long-term residents. Miasma? I thought that was only in Japanese isekai mangas. A few years ago, after Shen Haoshi's attempted assassination of Shao Cheng, he lived in Nanyue in Jiaoshao for a time to hide from the Tianji camp. Jiang Xing said with great interest, what a coincidence. Actually, you could say that Jiaoshao is my hometown. Lin Qingyu was a bit surprised. Really? He always thought Jiang Xing's hometown was in another world, a place that couldn't be found in the Dayu's territory. Yes, but in our place, Jiaoshao is not called Jiaoshao. Lin Qingyu asked, what's it called then? Jiang Xing recalled his poor knowledge of geography. Jiaoshao in my hometown is referred to as Guangdong, Guangxi, in northern and central Vietnam. Among them, I was born in Guangdong and moved to Jiangnan with my parents when I was young. In the Dayu, it's called Yuzhou. When I returned to Guangzhou in Guangdong after finishing high school, Guangdong, Guangzhou, Lin Qingyu remembered these words in his heart. I didn't expect you to be born in such a remote and desolate place. Remote? Desolate? Jiangxin asked incredulously. What about Guangzhou is remote and desolate? Before Jiangxin had time to defend his hometown, Shen Haoshi came in. He came to bid farewell to the Empress. In 2 days, he will be going for the north. Haoshi, you came at the good time, Lin Qingyu said. You have been in Nanyue. You can tell the emperor whether Jiashao is a remote and desolate place or not. Shen Haoshi looked at Jiangxing. Your Majesty, Jiashao is vast and sparsely populated. Most of the common people live among the high mountains and live by hunting and gathering. It is a whole world of difference between the capital, Jiangnan, and other places. Jiangxin choked and said, Fine, Jiashao might be a bit barren now, but in 100, no, 1,000 years, it will be one of the most affluent places in the country. Jiangxin pointed to Jiashao on the map. Look, Baobei, Jiashao faces the southern sea and borders several neighboring countries. Once a port is opened, Shen Haoshi almost choked at hearing the word Baobei. Now, he really truly believed that the Empress considered him a good friend. Otherwise, the Emperor wouldn't tell him his true identity, nor would he be treated like an outsider in the slightest. It was not surprising that the Emperor would call Lin Qingyu Baobei. The strange thing was that Lin Qingyu could accept it so calmly without feeling awkward at all. If other people, ignorant of his true identity, coveted his beauty and called him Baobei, he would probably feed them to the princes and princesses. Jiangxing had always been generous and easy-mannered. Jiangxing has always been generous and easy-mannered, but now, talking about his hometown, he was filled with nostalgia, and he couldn't help feeling sentimental. I haven't spoken the dialect of my hometown for 5 or 6 years. I'm afraid I might have forgotten how to speak it. Haoshi, how do they call beauties in Nanyue? Do they use Langjai or Langnu? Shen Haoshi told him very seriously. No. Then what words do they use? Shen Haoshi uttered two strange sounding words. Jiangxin didn't understand at all. He shrugged and said, Fine. Lin Qingyu pondered. I would like to see your hometown. He was filled with yearning for the world where Jiangxin grew up in. He wanted to know what kind of mountains and rivers could raise a person like Jiangxin. Jiangxin hesitated and said, But Jiashao is too far from the capital. No matter what Jiashao will look like in 1,000 years, the current Jiashao truly was too remote. Ministers who committed crimes were often exiled there. Lin Qingyu said regretfully, Indeed. At this time, a servant from Xi'an Palace arrived, inviting Jiangxin and Lin Qingyu to the evening meal. Jiangxin said, Qingyu, you go ahead. Don't keep the Empress Dowager waiting for too long. I will go after I have a talk with Haoshi. Lin Qingyu nodded and said, All right. Lin Qingyu walked out of Xinjing Palace and noticed Hualu's distraught appearance. Hualu? Hualu came back to her senses. What is the Empress's instructions? Lin Qingyu said, "Do you find it strange that I'm so close to the Emperor? Are you wondering if I have completely forgotten about young Master Hao and General Gu?" Hualu lowered her head. "This servant dares not." Lin Qingyu could see through to Hualu's thoughts. On the one hand, she felt that her master wasn't a heartless and ungrateful person. But on the other hand, she could see how he and the Emperor held the tray to eyebrow level. She was even more confused and puzzled than when he married Gu Fuzhou back then. Lin Qingyu intended to tell her the truth and said slowly, "Don't you think that the Emperor's temperament is very similar to young Master Hao's and General Gu's?" Hualu's eyes widened in astonishment. "This servant now knows," Lin Qingyu said. "You know?" Hualu lowered her voice. "The young master is treating the Emperor as a substitute for the young master and the general." Lin Qingyu, ... Hualu looked worriedly towards the hall. "Young master, does the Emperor know about this?" Lin Qingyu chuckled and said, "He knows, and he is happy to be this substitute." Lin Qingyu didn't have to wait long in Xi'an Palace before Jiang Shen arrived, and the two of them had dinner with the Empress Dowager. They were served an extremely delicious dish of steamed fish. Jiang Shen knew that Lin Qingyu preferred light flavors. He was sure to like it. He chose the tenderest part of the fish and removed the bones before putting it in Lin Qingyu's bowl. "Thank you, Your Majesty." Lin Qingyu took some fresh spring bamboo shoots and placed it in his bowl in return. "These bamboo shoots are plump and tender. Your Majesty should give them a try them." Jiang Shen smiled and said, "Thanks for your consideration, Empress." Wow, these guys are just flirting in front of the Empress Dowager. The Empress Dowager looked as the two kept exchanging gifts. A strange feeling rose in her heart. To love one's wife was a good thing, but the Emperor was being too polite and attentive to the Empress. The two were both men, and those who didn't know would think the Empress was the Emperor's husband. After dinner, the Empress Dowager said, "Empress, please go on ahead. Ajia would like to say a few words to the Emperor." "Well, technically they're husband and husband. What's her problem? Oh gosh." Lin Qingyu glanced at Jiang Shen. He gave a salute and said, "Then Shen will be taking his leave." After Lin Qingyu left, the Empress Dowager said to Jiang Shen, all earnest words and sincere wishes, "Your Majesty, you are the Emperor and the Empress is a subject. Courtesy between a monarch and his subject is greater than that between husband and wife. The three cardinal principles and five virtues govern human relations and is a natural order of things. Do you understand what your mother is saying?" Jiang Shen smiled faintly. "I understand." The Empress Dowager was a woman of her time. That she thinks this way was normal. There was no use arguing with her. It would just be a waste of words. He agreed with his words, but shall persist in doing it again the next time. When Jiang Shen returned to Xinjiang Palace, Lin Qingyu asked him, "What did the Empress Dowager say to you?" Jiang Shen told him the truth. "She is upset that I deboned the fish for you. She implied that I should maintain my dignity as the Emperor in front of you." Lin Qingyu said, "Then what does the Emperor think? Does this mean you won't be deboning my fish for me anymore?" "How is that possible?" Jiang Shen said seriously. "You and I are both men. It could be said that you're my wife, but then it could also be said that I am your wife. Since this is the case, of course, I will give you equal and respectful love. Lin Chingyu couldn't make up his mind, wondering whether he should be moved or not. He knew Jiang Xing too well. Generally, when he said words to move him, Jiang Xing would follow it up with something to spoil the mood. Sure enough, before he could respond, Jiang Xing added, "It's a pity the Empress Dowager would never understand. I didn't bother trying to persuade her. How about this? I will teach you to speak my native dialect and we can speak Cantonese in front of her in the future. It will be a secret conversation." Jiang Xing was eager to give it a try. How about it? Isn't it interesting? Lin Chingyu. Oh, these two idiots. I actually want Lin Chingyu to learn Cantonese. It would be perfect for them to have, secret language. Oh my gosh, these idiots. I love them so much. In the end, they decided to travel to the south. It just so happened that the taxation reform in Jiangnan was in full swing. They could observe the people's sentiments while they were there. Lin Chingyu wanted the Ministry of Rites to handle the emperor's trip, but Jiang Xing stopped him. A honeymoon is spent by the couple together. If we bring a large group, it won't be a honeymoon, it will be a group tour. Having said that, as the rulers of a dynasty, they had to have guards and servants in the palace, let alone when they traveled far away. Jiang Xing also knew that traveling alone with Lin Chingyu was unrealistic. The Daiyu was no better than his hometown. When going on a trip, there were many complicated things to prepare. He didn't know how much to bring, and his carriage driving skills were average. In the end, the two decided to take Sha Songxi, Hua Lu, and some of the best shadow guards from the Heavenly Prison sect. They then headed all the way to the south. The author has something to say. I can't wait to write them in the modern setting. For example, Chingyu transmigrates to modern times and dates Jiang Xing, who is still a high school student. One day, Jiang Xing told him excitedly, "Chingyu, I'm now 18 years old." Chingyu, again? As a reader, I have something to say. I can't wait to read them in the modern setting. It would be great. It would be cute. They can have modern dates. I always imagine them, the library date, like boba date, just eating hot pot, enjoying escalators, going to the mall, enjoying the, what is that? Theme park? Amusement park, sorry. Yeah. I'm just bad with words. It would be so freaking cute. I wish this fandom had more people so we can have more fan art. Well, I guess that's why I'm doing this.